All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and those who will see this later. Welcome to another edition of Playbook to Success, and I'll share my screen with you so you can see the whole Playbook to Success is about foundations, things that I've created around my four beliefs. Leadership, and that to me is huge. Being a leader and knowing when to follow people. That's where a lot of people get jacked up. Communication, I believe it's two forms of communication, verbal and nonverbal. Most people who don't know how to communicate, they ain't gonna be successful. Acceptance, buy-in. Tonight you get to see a star, but there's a lot of people who play on teams that ain't that great. But can you buy into a role? Can you accept it? And of course, the last thing we always emphasis around success is execution. Execution is worship. You can't execute, and you probably won't be good in sports. And that's kind of how it goes. But I'm excited tonight because I have a star on tonight, a Bermudian fellow onion. And I want to be honest with you, Willie. I'm going to tell you the truth. I saw you guys play and I saw the game and I text my mate, I don't know, is his secretary of defense, whatever, Owen Darrell. And I was like, who is this guy right here with the blonde hair? Who is he? Because I was just like, yo, I've never seen this guy before. I've never seen this guy around before. But tonight, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. And I had to share with you, like, I was definitely like going crazy. My wife was like, hey, it's just a game. I'm like, no, shut up. This is big. It's big, big, big. Wow. I love it. So, but before we get into it, man, I wanted to let you guys see who Willie is. And I want you to see him play. So I want to show you his highlights so you can see his skills live. So let me open up this thing. Make sure you can see it live. All right, so now you know his stars, no games, like you can see it for yourself. First question I want to ask you really is when you see that, what comes to mind to you?
That video. Nah, it's it just to be fair, watching that video from a technical point of view, it reminds me of what I had to do to make my own my first highlight video, and it's just it makes me laugh a bit because my first highlight video is not a minute; it's like 12 minutes. But no, it's good to look back. And I was to be fair when I was thinking about it when I watched it just now, I was like, man, that was just my last year. Like that's only like a snippet of some of the good times that I've had playing football. But no, it looks good. Hopefully I can get out there and make some more of those soon. But yeah.
So talk me through it. I love how you said it's only a clip of who you were and what you've gone through. Talk to me. When did you fall in love with football? Or maybe you was a cricketer when you were smaller. Like when did you know or when did you fall in love with football?
Um, I don't think it was ever a point when I fell in love with football. I think that was the only thing. So like my pops would probably tell you if you ever speak to him. Yeah, I put a football in his crib type of thing. Like so, like I had a football with me for as long as I can remember. I was always playing football. I was always into football, um, even from a young age. So, I mean, I did play other sports. Like I played cricket. I played a bit of basketball in high school. I played like badminton. You know, everyone does a little bit of everything in Bermuda, but nah, football was the one that I really just took to outside of school. In my own time, I didn't play anything else. Like competitively like that. I tried cricket camp one summer. It was too hot, too much standing around. You know, too long. So cricket never went far with me. But like, no, I was always a natural athlete growing up, so I could do most sports pretty well. But football was always number one.
That's dope. So talk to me about it. Who were some of the people locally and internationally that you begin to frame your game around, especially seeing as you always were like attracted to football? Like, were there some people who you were like, yeah, like I love his game, like I want to be like this guy, or were there people that you looked up to?
Yeah, I mean, every young footballer has that one player that they want to try and emulate or be like, or they who they follow, like fanboy over or whatever. Um, for me, I didn't really have one specific player. I had a lot. I liked a lot of different players, a lot of different play styles. Um, but like if I had to tell you one now, thinking about it now, I would probably say my favorite player now, he's retired now, was Paul Scholes. But like I like a lot of players. So like when I remember growing up, was I was in the era like when Cristiano Ronaldo was at United. So like he was the biggest thing going in football, like the brightest star at the time. And obviously you had like Ronaldinho who was towards the end of his career. We had a bunch of other players. Kaká was really good when I was younger. That stood out for me. Um, I caught the tail end of R9's career. He was really good. But if I have to say, if I'm talking about professional footballers, like stuff that I was watching on TV, because obviously we're playing a lot of video games around there, and I was a huge United fan, I would say Cristiano Ronaldo was probably the biggest. But like for me, it's not like I looked at him and I wanted to do everything he did. Because yeah, I mean, if you look at my game, I don't do a lot of. We don't play the same position. I don't do a lot of things he does. I don't have that type of ability that he has. But I think he was probably the icon of my generation when I was young and impressionable about football. In terms of like locally, I would say, and I'll tell you this, tell anyone this, the biggest influence for me locally was Kenny Thompson, and I still train with him every day when I'm here on the island. No, I have training tomorrow morning with him at 8 a.m. in the morning in the gym. So his probably the biggest influence on me football wise on the island. Before him, I was at PhD, so I was with Coach Vincent Trott. Those were big on my early years of development. Um, Anybody from my age group probably been to Mark Burger Beans football camps, David Baskin football camps. They were big. Sean Go to football camps when I was growing up. But I would say biggest influence on me personally wise, as far as like the way I view the game, the way I understand the game, and the way I play would be Mr. Thompson.
That's dope, man. Kenny was always like a wild card. Like his everything about him has always been visionary. Like it's been weird. Like people look at him like, yo, this guy's weird. No, he's a genius at football. And I heard you say something like you don't have the abilities, but I'm telling you, really, when I was watching these Concacaf games, I kept looking and I was like, this guy, you know what your game reminds me of? Somebody who just glides through the field. And
Yeah, that's
every
what
touch was just like gliding. I was like, yes, who is this guy? And
yeah,
I'm
I
telling my
get that a
mate, I'm
lot.
texting him on WhatsApp, like, yeah, who is this guy? And and to hear you say, but a lot of your game is trickery. A lot of your movements, I was, I'm just saying, I was a fan. That's all. I'm gonna leave it
Yeah,
there.
nah, I understand that. I understand that. But like, for me personally, like it wasn't. It's not like a thing where I wouldn't consider myself. I mean, I guess I will consider myself tricky, but it's not. It's not something where I have set tricks that I want to do at any certain time. Everything usually, which I'm blessed with. A lot of things that I do just come naturally. They just pop into my head, and then I do. Or they don't pop into my head. I just do it. Like it's just natural for me. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I've gotten a lot of times. A lot of people say I'm weird. The way I run is weird. The way I move is weird. It doesn't make sense. You know, a lot of people say my knees and my ankles just don't work the way normal people's stuff do. But that's just that's a lot of my friends just being funny.
Yeah. Well, tell your friends, uh-uh, your body moves fine and you flow through the field. Trust me. I've been to a lot
Yeah.
of games and seen a lot of good players, and I really enjoy it. But now you started to talk about the venture of playing, and you started at PHC. Talk me through that. How did you begin to develop? Where did the footballing start to develop with you to a point where you could say, "Wow, I'm gonna make a national team," or maybe I could go abroad? Like, when did it start to begin to be like, yeah, this could be a job for me?
Well, I'd say um, at PHC was like those are my earliest memories of like playing football, like for a team, for a club, with my friends. You know, and that was just because of obviously the neighborhood we grew up in, the region on the island. So it was close to home. All my friends played there because we all live in the same area, type of thing. But I would say, when it got like to a point where I was like looking at it in comparison to uh I guess I could say loosely international standards was when I changed and was started being coached by Thompson. We went to the academy. It was the academy at that time. I want to say maybe it was like 2006 or something, 2000, no, early 2000s maybe. And it was because at the academy at that time we were going on we were lucky enough to be able to go and travel each summer as a team, and we traveled to Europe, different parts of Europe each summer. So at first we were going to and this was all based off of Kenny's experiences in Europe previously as a coach with other teams, and then when he was like going on his different tours and studying the game or whatever. So we ended up doing a lot of tours to Holland, and then as he started to focus more on like Spanish football in Barcelona, then we started to go to Barcelona, and weave that into our European trips. So my I think my year group was like one of the last to go to Holland and the first to go to Barcelona. So we ended up doing like a double. So we went Holland, then we did a bit of Germany, then we went to Barcelona, and then I think after that year when he went to Barcelona with us, it was like, okay, I need to take all my teams to Barcelona. Then he started doing that. But like like that year was like, I think we were like 16. That was like our last year at like youth football level. But I would say just off that and being able to play against other kids my age, but from around the world, from top clubs in Europe, and your Ajax, your PSVs, getting to look at your Barcelonas, your German teams, then I was like, okay. And our team was pretty good, so we competed pretty well at that young age. So I was like, okay, cool, fair enough. I think I can say that I'm pretty. I think I'm pretty good. I think I like football a lot. I think I could go somewhere with this. But as far as going professional or anything as far as playing with the national team, um, that wasn't like a. I don't want to say it wasn't a goal because it was always like a goal, but it wasn't like, okay, I think I can make the national team type of thing. Because I mean, growing up, you were always in the national academy in each age group. But I found for me a lot when I was younger because I was smaller. I always ended up playing with the age group younger than me physically because I was physically like I was a very small kid. Um, but nah, I mean I was always a part of the national program, so it wasn't like, oh, okay, now's my chance. I can go break into the national team. It was more of a time of like, when I get to that age, I'm already on track to do that. And professional was, it was a dream, you know,
Let me
for
ask
me
you
for the
this, Willie.
most.
Let me ask you this. You go there, you're in Ajax, you see all these kids from Barcelona, Ajax, and all this here. What's the one thing that you see, like that one quality that's like, okay, I'm really good, but I got to get this, or else I'm not going to ever get to this level?
Um, to be fair, it wasn't for me at that age. I think one thing that stood out for me once was, and I always say, I always look back at that point when I learned this particular thing. Um, was one year that we went on a trip. I remember, um, I'm not exactly sure exactly how it played out, but I remember having a conversation with Thompson or one of the coaches that was um, um a guest coaching for us, like one of the Dutch coaches, and it was a point or a comment or I heard that I was being looked at as 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 like some of the teams that we were playing against or in Europe were interested in me at a young age, but um during one game that they were watching, I think we must have been. I'm not sure who we were playing, but I was getting fouled a lot. And the way I responded to being fouled a lot at that young age, I was angry. So I think Thompson ended up telling me, yeah, they were looking at you, but they saw that yeah, you had an attitude problem or something along those lines, and then they weren't interested anymore. And I think that right there was probably the difference because at that young age, they're already learning about professional attitudes in the game. So when it comes treating your opponents with respect and how you respond to certain things or certain instances in the game, you responding professionally, understanding that getting kicked is part of the game and you have to get on with it, or making a mistake is part of the game. There's no time to sulk or they just get on with the next action, and that's the. Thing that is and to be fair, we still have that problem at Bermudians, even in senior football. We don't, we're not, we're, we're not very good at moving on to the next action. But I think probably at that young age, that's probably the difference. Because other than that, I feel like I could have been there if not for just the different circumstances of geographical location, being that we're from Bermuda and not in a professional environment at all times like the other children.
I, I I never forget it. When I played in the States, I played a couple years, and my coach, this guy used to play for Liverpool, Stevie Nickel.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget Stevie used to say to me, I used to get vexed, just like you, like want to punch somebody in the face, but you kick me again, I'm up. And he told me, I never forget, your boy told me, your boy said, when somebody kicks you, it's a compliment. It just means he can't stop you. So you should look at that as there's a weakness in him that you just have to keep exploiting until he breaks, or the
Yeah.
coach breaks and says, yeah, your boy's going to get a red card eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's difficult that a lot of young players don't get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm watching you play in Gold Cup, they're kicking the crap out of you every single time. I think the Costa Rica game, I even had a highlight. You go by my man, and your boy just yanks you. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're not going nowhere. If you're not mentally prepared, you react, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you get up and you go on with it. And I can see, even from that clip in itself, the maturity's there. You get the message now. Like kicking me is a compliment. Like I
Yeah.
understand you can't stop me, so you're gonna kick me. So that's a good one. So talk to me about this one. A lot of players play, and a lot of players get to play at a high level. In a perfect world, where would Willie like to end up in his footballing career? I heard you say United before. If you're a United fan, whew, we're on to something good here.
um, in a perfect world, like, are we talking ideally from this point in my career, or ideally from
From right
okay,
now, the past is the past. You can't change that. But
yeah,
now,
yeah,
the
okay.
present and the future, they work for you. So right now, perfect world. Willie's next contract is
My next contract from right now, perfect world. My next contract is EFL Football League Two at the lowest. I would say championship level. I feel like I play at, but obviously the dream is playing in Prem. But I only say England because of because of Brexit and all that type of stuff. Like ideally, I would like to play somewhere where football's a bit more fluent. Anywhere in Europe, Germany, Holland, Spain. Those are my favorites. Italy, definitely food culture. Um, but current position, just a good contract at a good level in England where I can settle down, put some roots.
So talk to me this, Willie, and we're closing up. I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but I want to ask you this. We were talking offline, and you were talking to me about it comes a point in time in a professional's career where you have to observe and kind of take take notice to what's important.
Mm.
What is it that are major factors for Willie to continue to play at a high level? And what do you think, or maybe you don't know, could be a point in case where Willie says, "Hey, you know what? It was a good run. Maybe it's not for me."
Mm. Um, for me, like I mean, same thing as what I just touched on. Contract has to be right. It has to be able to not only playing football wise, but help me to be able to build a solid foundation or help me to start a solid foundation for what's next in life. So obviously money's a big thing. It's not the most important thing, but it's very important for someone of my age, being able to start setting a foundation for, if I wanna have a when I wanna have a family, children, a house, what's that gonna look like? I don't wanna be in a situation where um moving all over the world type of thing. I would like for it to be a more stable type of thing. So I feel like stability is key. And if football is not going to be able to offer me that, then obviously it may or may not be time to be start looking at other avenues to do so. But that's the type of the type of climate that we're in is very everything's up in the air. Everything's you know changing from one day to the next. So it's very difficult to kind of make that decision at this time. You don't want to kind of make it too prematurely. You don't want to kind of make it too late. Because I still feel that there's um I have a chance. I have the opportunity. I have the quality to play at a high level for multiple more years. But it's just depending on what the world has in store. To be honest.
I like that, man. Um, but here's a question that a lot of people don't talk about. What kind of advice do you give to younger players? A younger player comes to you, look, really, I'm about to sign, whatever. Um, what kind of knowledge and basis have you learned about finances and saving you know and the reason I ask that is because when I was playing, I made decent money. I made very good money, but it took me 3 years to realize, hey bro, it's an 80-20 rule. 80% you should be banging, 20% is what you should be tricking off or doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that in the first couple of years, and I look back and I'm like, mercy, I left so much on the table. Have you Do you have those conversations with your agent or whatever? How does that work for you so that the things that you asked or you spoken about previously about having a family and things of that nature? How do you set yourself up in that avenue?
To be fair, honestly, um, the years that I've been playing football, I haven't been the smartest with my money. So, I'm just now realizing. I wouldn't say just now, but I'm just realizing that I could have done better with what I was being paid. Even though there's not much I could have done with what I was being paid, I could have done better with what I was being paid. Um, and just making sure that the next deal or the next contract that I do, or that the next contract is good enough to where I'm able to do so. So if I had to give advice to people who were looking to sign or do that, I would just say make sure that um, you get what you're worth in the contract. Don't ever feel like you're asking for too much, or because at the end of the day, if you feel like you have the skills and you prove that you have the ability, then people need to, I wouldn't say people, but clubs should, well, one, they should want to pay for it, and you should want to show them what you're worth. And if you're worth it, then you'll be worth every cent, and it won't feel like you're asking for a lot. But a lot of clubs like to play the game where they they wanna buy from a business perspective. They want to pay as little as money as possible, and they might say that there's not money when there really is. But you have to just make sure you get what you're worth, and when you get what you're worth, make sure you do what you're supposed to when you get it.
Hey, really, that's the funniest thing. I remember one year I was negotiating a contract and the team told me like, yeah, we only got this here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you don't have me. Call me when you get this number because it's nothing less
Yeah,
than this. And I
yeah. I
love
mean,
what you
and
said, knowing your worth, like, and
yeah,
not being afraid to walk away from a deal or something that doesn't benefit you, especially in this
mm,
climate. I think a lot
mm,
of people now take whatever just because they're panicking. And the team looked
mm,
at me, the president looked at me and was like, yo, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, boss, call my agent when you got this number. If you don't, keep it moving. You're not getting a
yeah,
discount. Like, I'm not
mm-hmm,
going to come on the field and I'm not going to throw up shoot balls and miss all the backboard all game for the check. So that means you have to pay me to come in and do the job that you want. So I
exactly.
love what you said about, not panicking, like
Yeah,
not making a move just out of impulse, but like it has to work for you.
mm-hmm, for
So
sure.
tell me, go ahead. I'm sorry, you was gonna say something. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say a lot of times it can get them mistaken for um being cocky or being I can't really think of the word for it, but um just reiterating, you gotta get what you're worth. At the end of the day, it all comes out. You get what you pay for it. To be completely honest, if they say that you're too, and they pay for someone that's less, then they might get less. But it's
I
what
love
it is.
it, man. One time I tell one of my teammate was like, yeah, but you're getting this, and you only play defense for our team. I'm like, yeah, I cover you. So yeah, I'm gonna get paid what it's worth. And the thing about it
Mm-hmm.
is, what I tell people all the time, a lot of student athletes is, you can't go to Louis Vuitton and negotiate. The price is the price, and the
Mm-hmm.
price is the price because if the bag rips, guess what, Louis? You take it back. You're gonna get a new
Mm-hmm.
one because they stand by the product. If you're a good
Mm-hmm.
player and you're quality, guess what? I ain't really had to fight too many people for a check. I say this is what I want. Either you can do it or you can't. You don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't play against me because I'm gonna fire you for not paying me the funds that you should have. So, but
Yeah.
nah, I love that what you were saying. All right, Willie, got a couple more questions for you. As a pro, what is the first thing, your first game on the field? What is like the first thing you realize, like, oh my gosh, like this is different? And I'll give you an example. For me, it was the pace of the game. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't have as much time. You better have your thought process. And I actually, my teammate told me in football and basketball, you should be two thoughts ahead wherever you want to do. If you see it and you shift or you turn your body, you see him move, all right, you're going to play it this way or that way, or you want to do a fancy flick. What is kind of the thing that you saw and you had to adjust to after, just getting in the game?
um, I would say my first year pro, it wasn't at a very high level. It was at a decent level, I will say. But I will say that I had already been mentally prepared for that level. Just off of the way I was raised in football. So like I said, a lot of the stuff um um that I wouldn't say learning but experiencing, I had already kind of had that sort of coaching from Thompson from the experiences abroad. So I was kind of lucky in that regard that it wasn't like a huge shock. I will say my first year, the temperature was what really got me in Sweden. It was really cold. But no, I think, like you said, probably the pace and the physicality. I think maybe the style of play, because each region has a different style of play. So I think the style of play in Sweden was a bit different. Um, but I feel like I got on all right. But yeah, definitely the pace of play, the amount of time you have to think is a lot less. So you have to know what you want to do earlier. Um, and just being able to, I would say, the right type of lifestyle choices when it comes to being a professional athlete, sleeping patterns, um, what you do with your time in the day, preparation. all that type of stuff. And then as well as the having to, like, when you play football every single day, taking care of your body, the toll it takes on your body. Because I mean, we were doing regular activity when I was in Bermuda. I was working all the time, but actually going on playing a sport and having to come and go to work 100% every single day. Just the amount of the toll that takes on your body, just constantly at 100% your muscles, and just being able to take care of yourself for a full season. So I have to say, like, I would say halfway through my first season, I was like, hey, I'm kind of burnt. Like, I don't feel like training today. Like, and for me, my team was semi-pro, so we only trained in the evenings. So because a lot of guys still work. So I was like, well, I was chilling all day, training at 6, and then play on the weekends, and then obviously like traveling and stuff was a bit different because it was the bus. But I would say just that type of stuff, being able to go for a full season or every week, sometimes 2 games a week for 40, 50, 40, 30, 40 games a season, and be at your best for each game was probably the most difficult part. And I still had that even in my last season, making me step up to being full time, training twice a day in preseason at a higher level, playing faster. That was probably the biggest step for me.
Talk to me about that though. What does it take? I get it. It takes a toll on you physically because you're using your body. But talk to me about the mental preparation that you have to go to. Because let's face it, cold day, Sweden, probably colder than it is here, and it's cold as I don't know what. You gotta wake up in the morning, go train. Most of your teammates may not speak English, so you gotta pay attention to some boy. Talk me through that. How do you mentally like will yourself on a cool day in January to be like, yeah, I want this. Like, and I'm
Yeah, yeah. I would say my first few years was really bad because I was in the north of Sweden, like probably as north as it gets in Europe before you get to North Pole, probably. So I mean, like in the winter time, there's no sunlight. I'm talking 30 feet of snow. Like it's cold. Like I'm talking minus, minus. Pick a number. It was that cold. So I would say preseason, my first preseason, coming out there in January, February, ridiculous. For me, I was lucky. Most people in Sweden speak English because they learned it in school, and I had a few English boys on the trip that I lived with. So it was fun because it was a group of us. It was 5 of us. We had to get up and we all lived together, get up together, go to training. So it was fine in that
hold on, let me
respect.
ask you a question. Don't go past that. Talk to me about that. What was it like living with strangers? Cause let's just
Oh,
face it. Let's just face it. Now here's the question. One of these guys mess up and cost you a game, but you can't go home, or you have to have some form of maturity to say, like, yeah, your boy messed up. Like, it could be a
yeah.
bonus, but you gotta, like, how does that work? Like, how do you do that?
Um, to be for my first year living with the boys was all right. We had a good group our first year. So, another boy was English, but he had dual citizenship from another Caribbean country, so we had something in common. And then a few and we were born in the same year. And then a few other boys were a bit younger. They were coming over from like youth teams and doing like 6 months loans type of thing. So they were kind of cool as well. But no, living with them was fine. Everybody, as long as living with people in a group host and like a host is that with a lot of rooms, it's fine as long as everybody understands and respects each other's space and the common spaces like the kitchen and stuff. It was fine. My second year wasn't as sharp. I mean, a few of the boys left, and we had some other people. We had a few boys from Africa come through, and obviously it's a whole different vibe because it's different culture. So if the English guys, we were kind of on the same cultural page, like in terms of food we eat, things we do, in terms of like that. And like I think a big challenge was when we came to like other players, some of the Africans or the Swedes, they do things different, so they cook different, they contact him, they have different time differences, everything they the way they the way they work is different. Period. You know, only football pitch. I know it's a football pitch, so I think it's just being able to respect each other's boundaries, respect each other's limits. You know, and then just just being respectful. And then for me personally, I'm the type of guy like I don't really go do too much. I'm in my room for most of the day. You know, if we're playing video games together, I might come in your room. You might come watch a game. But like, if you need to find me, I'm in my room. I'm not doing nothing else. So I'm pretty easy. But it was all right. It wasn't bad. But no, it definitely takes a bit of getting used to. And I just happened to luck out with the group that I was with. So.
All right, now here we go. Before we end off, now I gotta get to the juice. Now you're a footballer and you're in these countries. Your prime, you are good. Talk to me about it because you are a relational man. Like, what kind of pressures does that hold? Like, I'm just being honest with you. I know for me, I never dated till like the last maybe 2 years I was married to my wife. But before then, like the first 8 years, no way. Couldn't be seen nowhere with nobody consistently because it was too much. Way too much action coming left, right, and center. Talk me through that. What is it like for you to be in a relationship? And is it easier because you're in a relationship with somebody who plays sports and they understand, or is it kind of like it can still be a pain in the butt, like I guess all of us married people are out here?
Nah, for me personally, when I was away, like I said, I don't really go anywhere. I stay in my room, um, play Xbox with my boys, watch Netflix. Like you don't have to worry about me. I don't go anywhere. So being in a relationship wasn't. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's cool because we both play the same sports. So like we talk about football all the time. We watch football together. Um, but at the end of the day, even if I wasn't in a relationship, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be home doing nothing. So I mean, that's just me personally. I don't. To be fair, I was so focused on football. Like, I don't really go out and explore the city much anything like. So I'm so focused on football. I wasn't worried about anything else at the time.
All right.
Or no. So
Okay.
I mean,
So last
my
question.
relationship.
Last question, man. Well, you're a good guy, cause Lord knows I explored every street, every corner, every avenue, and
Yeah, I feel you, but I feel you sometimes. But me personally, I don't have the energy to. I'm gonna chase 11 guys on the field for football and then go chase some girls afterwards. I don't have the energy for that. I burnt it. I used it on the pitch. You know, I don't have time.
All right, Willie. So we're down to the last question. Talk me through this. If there's one piece of advice that you can give to a young aspiring player, because even though it's not a lot of people here, we send these out to kids in our groups, and they're like
Mhm.
very ecstatic about it. And to be honest with you, I have a couple of young Bermudians who's asked to like get a copy of this because they want to see it as well. Talk me through it. What's
Mhm.
one piece of advice or two pieces of advice that you can leave with our viewers, whether they're student athletes or professionals
Mhm.
who may be struggling or maybe having a great time? What would be a good piece of advice you could leave with them?
I would say for I'll give one piece of advice for young Bermudians and one general piece of advice in general. For young Bermudians that want to play football, um, don't think that because you come from Bermuda, you had a disadvantage. Definitely now there's more and more avenues, far more than when I was young, for to the professional game. You know, it's a lot easier to bridge that gap between Bermuda and the rest of the world geographically. Like you can there's a lot more ways. And especially now, clubs are searching more and more for the new talent at a younger age. So if you're able and you have the ability at a young age, and yeah, you can get to the right um training, do the right training, and somehow get in the right what do I want to say predicament to get yourself showcased or shown or somehow definitely do it because it only takes one time for someone to see you. And honestly, once you are able to get into that professional environment, the sky's the limit. You see it now with the young Bermudians that are doing well. Um, I saw a tweet today that Arsenal is looking at the young Bermudian that plays for Bournemouth. They want to sign him. You can look at the young Bermudians that's doing well. It's a bunch of them now. I don't even know all the names of the young Bermudians that are playing overseas and at professional levels at a young age. And the sky's the limit for them. You see, Nathan Trutt just made his debut for West Ham in the girls. So there's a lot going on. There will be a lot more to come afterwards for sure. But definitely, don't ever think that the gap is so huge that you can't do it. You definitely can. And I would say for student athletes and the other people, don't underestimate how far sport can take you. Sport is the door to a lot of things around. So student athletes, sport might be the door to education and a great career. You know, you could go to school for free or for your sport. You can travel the world over sport. You can do anything you want with sport. Sport will open a bunch of doors for you. Even if sports not the thing that you want to do in life afterwards. Just, use it for what it is. If it's what you want to do, if it's what you love, put all your time and effort into it. If it's not, use it to do what you love, then, So, now that's all I really have to say.
I like that, man. I appreciate that, because a lot of people, I'll never forget, like one guy told me when I was playing football, he was like, "You're from Bermuda? Like, you can't do what?" I'm like, "Boss, what, do you think they don't play 11v11 in Bermuda? It's the same game. Let me see what you got." And once you begin to play, you realize, bro, there's nothing but space and opportunity. You can get this work too. And I love the fact that you telling a lot of young people, it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters how much work you put in. And if you get seen and you make the most out of it, forget about it. Like, you could be that next guy. So really, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you jumping on. I can't wait to see you back on the field again, so I can see you gliding up and down the pitch. I'm not gonna tell your better half that you had a better one, but you could definitely tease her, because I think you spoke a little bit differently than she did.
I'm not getting into that one. That's between you and her.
There you go. You're smart, man. See, there you go. You didn't take the bait. See, you was like, nope, I'm just gonna be quiet, stay in my corner, watch Netflix. But no,
you
Willie.
Said it right. You said it right. That's my better half.
Yep, stick to it. Hey, Willie, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Thank you for the nuggets. And most importantly,
No problem,
keep putting Bermuda on the map. I can't wait till the pandemic's over. You get your new contract, and I can use my passport to come check you guys out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Willie. Take care.
All right, you as well.